Congrats, J.K. Rowling. You taught me the power of being a woman. Hi everyone, I'm Mizzz Sally Pryde, that's with 3 Z's and a Y, because why not? In this video we're going to be talking about Harry Potter again. This time we're going to be talking about Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. We're going to be talking about finding community. Cool. I've received some word today that we have a misgenderer among us. So let's keep our eyes peeled. So Harry lives with his relatives, his aunt, uncle, and cousin. And his uncle's sister, so his aunt, comes to visit. Her name is Marge, although she's not Marge Simpson. They're completely different people. And one thing to note is the Dursleys are just garbage human beings. They really are. They're rude and crude, and that's not true of Muggles as a whole. I know I'm a Muggle, but they have their own unique community on themselves that doubles in on its own hatred itself. Just hatred of the world in general and anyone that doesn't fit their lifestyle. Because remember, communities can be good and bad. You need to find the right community for you. So Harry blows up his aunt. Not in that way. Harry gets fed up, he goes out and gets a little help from a night bus. Who's the driver? It's not Stan Chun Pike, it's Larry the bus driver. That's right, Larry the bus driver is driving. And he's here to save Harry, at least for now. So Larry the bus driver tells Harry Potter that there's a murderer loose, and that he best be careful. This murderer's name is Sirius Black. And doesn't that sound like a paint Bob Ross would use? So Harry goes to the Leaky Cauldron in London, and it's the same pub he went with Hagrid, the big hairy guy in the first part. Isn't it funny that queer people and magical people like to also hang out in bars and pubs? Isn't that a little ironic? That J.K. Rowling didn't notice that? While he's there, Harry meets the Minister of Magic, who pretty much just says, whatever, we all blow up our aunts once in a while. Gives Harry a pass, which he's going to be a little bit less forgiving in the future, but we'll get to that later. One of the big ways the movies and the books start to differ here is that in the movies, Harry's treated more like an adult. However, in the books, Harry is left out a lot more of the conversations. Now granted, Harry, even in the movie, is not given the same level of purview all the conversations. Honestly, I think the adult should have just been frank with Harry and been like, look, this guy's technically your godfather, just avoid him at all costs. I feel like that would have been the best idea, but no, that's unrealistic. But then later, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are riding on the Hogwarts Express because Harry and Ron didn't want to commit Grand Theft Auto this year, and while they're there, they notice a man who's sleeping there. Now, this is a little bit unusual. It's not unusual to have people sleeping on the Hogwarts Express, but it is a little unusual that there is an adult there because, it would be very strange to have an adult on a train full of teenagers. So then Harry gets attacked by a creature which is a clear allegory for depression. That man who is sleeping there, who turns out to be a professor, saves Harry using a spell called Expecto Pronoun. When they get to Hogwarts, Dumbledore announces that by orders of the Florida Department of Education, they have to have these depression allegories there at school, which is a little bit confusing to everyone there because no one's exactly sure how the Florida Department of Education has jurisdiction over Hogwarts, but whatever. So it turns out that man on the train is a new professor for the Defense Against the Dark Arts position, which, has a bit of a vacancy issue. And then also, Hagrid, that big hairy guy? Well, apparently he is now a professor! He's a professor of care for magical creatures, and in his first class he teaches them about hippogriffs, which basically are like most people. Don't approach too quickly, or else you'll get hurt. So Professor Lupin, who is the Defense Against the Dark Art teacher who was on the train who saved Harry, teaches them about interacting with a new creature. This creature is an analogy for anxiety. Pretty interesting, huh? We got a creature for anxiety and depression. Isn't that something? And he teaches them the spell Ridiculous, which means when you're encountering this creature of anxiety, you use that spell and you think of a way to make your fears a little bit more humorous. Now this is actually pretty good advice when dealing with anxiety. I know I have anxiety because, well, my rights are being taken away on a daily basis just being a trans person. This is one of the reasons I started this channel. It really helps me sort of alleviate this extra anxiety. Sure, I may not have rights, but at least I have moral superiority. Also, Harry learns that his godfather is Sirius Black, and Harry has lessons with Professor Lupin. And Professor Lupin teaches Harry about how to fight the depression allegory. So, with that, there's a spell. It's often misunderstood. People hear it as expecto patronum, but it's actually expecto pronoun. I don't think most people know that though. And this spell requires someone to think of a pleasant memory, a really pleasant memory. And to really think it has to be something strong. Not like riding on your broom for the first time. No, it has to be stronger than that. It has to be something that may not even be real, but just something powerful. And for a while, I didn't get this, but over time, as I started to understand who I am as a woman, that really made a big difference for me. I really started to get that message. Congrats, J.K. Rowling. You taught me the power of being a woman and how that can deal with my depression. Although you also tied that to eating chocolate, which led to an eating disorder, but whatever, that's another point. So the Florida Department of Education, which somehow has jurisdiction over Hogwarts, is now going after Hagrid because, well, he taught them how to be loving and accepting of others and patient, and that just won't stand. The hippogriff Buckbeak is going to be executed. It's a werewolf, though it's a transgender. Here we go. Who gave you a COVID test? No one tested me. In fact, someone just gave me a mic. I don't know what's going on there. You're a biological man playing Quidditch with the girls. That just shouldn't happen. So I don't play Quidditch. First off, I'm a muggle. Second, I'm horribly out of shape. Third, Quidditch is a co-ed sport. And fourth, just because someone was assigned male at birth does not make them superior at sports. Because remember, the effects of hormones are really strong. It really needs a case-by-case study for each individual sport. A lot of the scientific studies actually coming out seem to actually indicate that trans women and trans feminine people as a whole actually don't perform well statistically better than their cisgender counterparts. Which may be a little bit surprising, a little bit counterintuitive, but remember, hormones make big changes on the body, and it's important to remember that. What even is a woman anyway? So what is a woman? Woman is a gender identity that is most commonly seen in those assigned female at birth. It is not restricted to those assigned female at birth, and not everyone assigned female at birth is in fact a woman. Gender is about who you are in society. It's not about what chromosomes you have, because that's not relevant to how you interact in society. It's not related to your genitals because, well, if that's important to you, that's kind of creepy. The answer, which is that gender is a lot like a color. Can you describe the color blue, and it applies to all the shades of blue? Can you do it? I don't think so, and that's why it's so hard to define what a woman is, because every woman is different. Like color, gender has no definite boundaries. There's no point in which blue becomes another color explicitly. There's a gradient there, but really there is no definite line. Here's the box. It's an amorphous color. However, that being said, not all colors are blue, so it's important to keep that in mind. Just because everyone says you're supposed to like the color blue doesn't mean you actually like the color blue. Whatever, I'm out of here, dude. Anyway, so it turns out Hermione had something called a time turner, which allowed her to take extra classes. Nerd! So Dumbledore sort of tells Hermione to go back in time using her time turner to save Buckbeak and save Sirius Black, who was also involved in all this. Oh, by the way, Lupin was a werewolf who also was friends with Harry's parents. Now, Dumbledore's not super specific at giving instructions to Hermione, which I know there have been lots of jokes about that, but here's the thing. He's telling a teenager to break the law. He's not going to give clear instructions. He's covering his own ass. Okay, so they do end up succeeding, going back in time, and in the process, Harry has this nice conversation with Sirius Black, and he jumps at the opportunity to move in with him. Because 30 seconds earlier, Harry thought, this guy's a murderer. No, it turns out it was Ron's rat. Whatever. And Lupin gets fired because, well, you can't have a queer allegory working at Hogwarts. And he really could have learned something from Dumbledore, which is have no actual clue that you're queer, but actually be queer. Because, allegories are bad, but actually being queer or not telling anyone or giving up any hints is okay. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you like it, please subscribe, like this video, and please watch more of my videos. I put a lot of work into these, and it really would mean a lot if you watched and subscribed. Thank you.